and today we're going to be focusing in on our kind of monthly forum for October. Wanted to start off today by talking about announcements and updates. So we're going to be covering agent updates across the connected machine agent for Arc Server, as well as SQL Server really quickly. And most of today's time is going to really be a deep dive where we're going to show how to enable Windows Server 2012 and R2 extended security updates enabled by Azure Arc, our new offer. And finally, we're going to end with feedback and question answer session time, where you guys can ask us more detailed questions or provide more detailed feedback about your Arc server experience and really embracing that sort of open community. So with that, I'll go ahead and highlight kind of the main callouts from our connected machine agent. One is with Windows Server 2012 and 2012 R2, you can directly purchase ESUs from agent 1.34 or higher. So our recommendation is everything that we're going to show today with extended security updates, you're going to want to be in the latest connected machine agent version 1.34 or higher to take advantage of ESUs. This agent version also comes with additional system metadata that we capture to improve your device inventory in Azure. So that includes physical memory, processor information, serial number, SMBIOS asset tags. And finally, from a network request perspective to Microsoft Entra ID, that's Azure ID. We use login.microsoftonline.com instead of previously we were using login.windows.net. So it's a little switch there as well from a networking perspective. The final piece is there was some enhancements to the extension management service core to the connected machine agent. So you're going to see some performance improvements there as well. So that's the core updates we have from the connected machine agent from the Arc server agent side. In terms of Arc-enabled SQL Server, the main updates with this are the general availability of automatic patching. And so that's the big update with the August SQL Server extension, with the September SQL Server extension release, sorry. And you'll note that ESUs, we're going to showcase the Windows Server one today and kind of go into a lot of depth with it, but extended security updates are available for SQL Server as well through Azure Arc. That's generally available. And so all of the sort of benefits we highlight, the financial flexibility, it being centralized through Azure, etc. A lot of those benefits transfer to the SQL Server side as well. So it's important to take advantage of kind of not just the server capabilities, but the SQL Server capabilities that layer on through the SQL Server extension. So with that, I want to dive into today's main topic, which is going to be end of support for Windows Server 2012 and 2012 R2. So what's important to note here is October 10th, 2023 is when Windows Server 2012 and 2012 R2 reach end of support. So October 10th is the last patch Tuesday, and after that, from next month, from November's patch Tuesday, you're going to need to be enrolled in extended security updates to get those critical patches. Now, what does this mean? When it comes to your options for your end of support infrastructure, you really have three main choices. One main choice, and we see most customers do this, is modernize to Azure, right? And so when you upgrade your OS while migrating with Azure Migrate, or going to a higher agent version with AVS, for example, you're able to then no longer need ESUs, right? You effectively don't need ESUs at that point. Alternatively, you can migrate to Azure. So if you're an Azure Stack HCI, if you're hosting on Azure VMware Solution, AVS, if you are an Azure native, then you get ESUs for free. So you get 3 additional years of these extended security updates at no additional cost. But let's say you can't go to Azure, you can't move quite yet, or you're going to take some time to migrate to Azure, but at the same time, you want to get those critical security patches for your end of support server, right? You still want to continue getting those critical patches from a compliance and security perspective. Well, a new option now is deploying extended security updates through Azure Arc. And the benefit of this is it's flexible monthly billing that's centralized in Azure. It gives you the ability to purchase directly these ESUs point and click to enroll from Azure, and it extends across your hybrid and multi-cloud environments. Moreover, you can layer on additional Azure security services like Microsoft Defender for Cloud to really protect this end of support infrastructure. So, what are the main benefits of this extended security updates enabled by Azure Arc? Well, there are three core benefits we want to highlight. One is flexible billing and savings. Traditionally, you would have to purchase extended security updates from volume licensing for an entire year at a time. With Azure Arc, our licenses are actually monthly billed. So that means that you have the flexibility to deactivate licenses within the middle of a year. And this can give tremendous cost savings for customers, especially as you're migrating part of your workload to Azure mid-year. So there's a lot of financial flexibility and savings from having it be a monthly model. Moreover, if you're familiar with sort of some of the Azure billing service work, this does decrement from your Mac. So if you have a Azure commitment, you can decrement from that with ESUs enabled by Azure Arc. And finally, you can apply your Azure consumption discount, your ACD, onto your ESU pricing as well for price benefits. The second core benefit here is visibility and reliability. So Azure Arc actually aggregates, and I'm going to show this in our demo, aggregates all of your Windows Server 2012 and R2 servers, including their status of whether they're eligible for ESUs or not, whether they're enrolled and protected or not. And so you get this sort of single pane of glass, so to speak, across your end of support infrastructure, where you're able to easily tell where you need to enroll servers in ESUs and where there might be gaps. Now, the third core benefit is with Azure Arc, you get access to the breadth of Azure management services and capabilities. 3 Azure management services are actually included at no additional cost for extended security update customers. If you're using machine configuration, change tracking inventory, or the newly generally available Azure Update Manager, those come at no additional cost for your servers enrolled in Windows Server 2012 extended security updates enabled by Azure Arc. So this is a tremendous cost saving as well that can allow you to leverage other Azure management capabilities. The final piece here is it's not just these services, but additional services that you get access to. Now, some of these are charged, like Defender for Cloud, Microsoft Sentinel, or Azure Monitor, but you get that flexibility where you can start testing and using some of these different monitoring and security solutions afforded by Azure with your end of support infra as well. So there's really myriad benefits with this ESU enabled by Azure Arc option, and it's really encouraging customers to leverage the Azure management plane and Azure management capabilities with this end of support infra as they're considering where to go next, whether it's migrating or modernizing to Azure. So a common question is about the cost, right? So the list cost for Azure Arc enabled by extended security updates is the same as the annual license cost. It's a flat rate year over year for the Arc as the traditional volume licensing cost. You'll find, however, that the Arc offer is charged and billed monthly versus the VL is annually, right? So there's a lot more increment that can be beneficial there. And you'll find list prices in our Azure Arc pricing website as well. Please note that license packs are typically purchased in 2 and 16 core packs. So that'll be helpful thinking about the 2 and 16 core packs you're going to need for those servers as you consider end of support. So with that, I'm going to demo this capability, and I'm going to stop presenting and switch over to demo. But before that, I wanted to pause and see, are there any questions? Okay, Ahmad?
Hi, how are you? I just want to ask that Arc is now supported in UAE region because it's not partially supported as of now. Last time I was trying to use it and to extend the feature and to use the auto update from Arc, but it was saying that it's not supported in your region, in UAE region, and my server are located there, so it won't. I won't be able to use it. Thank you.
Got it. Ahmed, if you don't mind, could you please put the name of the specific region that you're looking for availability for into the chat, and we can look into the regional availability for this. Thanks. All right. Kritika?
Yeah, hi, no. So I just had to check this version 1.34 is applicable for 2008 also, or is this specific to 2012?
No, this is specific to 2012. For 2008 extended security updates, you would want to go the volume licensing route. However, to the best of my knowledge, I believe it's coming close to the end of the 3-year ESU window for that. Yeah.
Okay, so when I check this 2000, we have a lot of 2000 is servers which are registered with Arc. And from advisor, I could see it's recommending to the old version and it's recommending to upgrade to latest version, and it says 1.34. So if it's not compatible, why we are getting such recommendation?
Oh, sorry. 2008 is still a supported operating system for the Arc agent. I was just saying we don't support extended
The
security updates
ESUs.
for 2008.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you.
Sorry about the misclarification. Additional questions?
No, that's it from my end. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Robert?
All right, just so we use the automation account patch. We have all of our servers in Arc. We use WSUS on-prem to be the repository for patching, and we have the Arc agent in WSUS. Does the end of the EOL for 2012 on October 10th mean that WSUS will no longer get updates for 2012, and you have, if they're Arc enabled, you have to enable ESU in Arc? Or if we use WSUS to be a repository for patching, do we need to do the ESU via volume licensing and not in Arc?
So you have the flexibility to use either ESUs through volume licensing or through Azure Arc. If you've already Arc enabled your servers, it's probably much easier to just use the fact that they're Arc enabled to enroll directly from Azure. You can continue using WSUS to get those ESU patches, but they do need to be enrolled in ESUs to get patches beyond this coming Patch Tuesday. So from November, the November Patch Tuesday, it's going to need to be enrolled in ESUs, whether that's through VL or Arc, in order to get those patches. Does that answer your question, or?
I think so. I think if I understood what you were saying, if we enable ESU in Arc and enroll the 2012 servers in Arc into the ESU package, then we'll be able to download patches to our WSUS server for 2012.
Yes, that's correct. That's a really good call out. You have the flexibility to continue using your patching solution with the Arc ESUs, correct?
Okay. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Ahmad, I still see your hand up. Do you have additional questions on this? All right, Nicola?
Yeah, I have a question. So, is it for just for Arc enabling Windows servers, not to install the ESU via Arc? So, for Arc enabling Windows servers, is it required that the license is also includes software assurance, or software assurance is not needed?
No, we continue to have the same licensing requirements as the traditional ESU, whether that's SA or mobility rights under SPLA. So the licensing requirements don't change, and we ask customers to attest to that when you create a license, which I'll showcase.
Okay, but so the software assurance is or is not required?
It is required.
Even for only Arc enabling servers for tagging and similar stuff?
No, it's only required if you use ESUs.
If it's not ESU usage, then software assurance not required.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Right. If there are no further questions, I'm going to go ahead and start our demo. So I know we went through a lot of content. One recommendation I have is we have pretty robust documentation, right? Where we go through how to prepare, what are some of the common pitfalls or errors you might run into, how do I do this ESU enablement programmatically using our ARM calls? How do I figure out licensing? And how do I actually enroll in these ESUs through Arc, right? We walk through all of this in our extended security update documentation. This is something we're continuing to update as well. So please use this as a key resource. So with that, I'm going to showcase what Azure Arc enrollment through extended security updates looks like. One, we're going to go to Azure Arc. And so what we're going to assume is you've already started and you've already Arc enabled your servers. And so to Arc enable your servers, just to step back, which most people here know, you're going to go here to add. You'll typically generate a script, submit the information, and then when it comes to download and running the script, that's the sort of point where you're going to use some sort of automation tool, right? And so most customers we see using, SCCM, for example, or group policy, Ansible, etc., in order to onboard at scale. We do support all three networking choices: public, proxy, and private link with Azure Arc. And we support our core regions. Again, note, we don't support Mooncake yet, and that's on our roadmap. And Fairfax or government availability will be available by end of October, ahead of the November Patch Tuesday. So we go here. We've submitted some basic information about our Arc server, typically, and then we go ahead and through next, we're going to go ahead and now that we've created our script, we can use whatever automation tooling and following that guidance, for example, group policy or Ansible for its scale deployment. So we're going to assume that you've done sort of the onboarding here, and I'll really showcase the ESU piece, right? So I'm going to switch this to an ESU specific account where I have some ESU test data. Okay. And here you can see what ESU licenses look like. So in our ESU account, we get visibility into all of our Arc-enabled servers that are Windows Server 2012 standard R2 data center, right? So we get visibility into all of those servers that are eligible for extended security updates, and we have the clarity on which ones actually have ESUs enabled and which ones don't have ESUs enabled, right? So that's the inventory view I was talking about. Additionally, we have all of our licensing objects all in one place where we know exactly what standard data center cores and core types we're covering our different licenses by. So how do you enroll a server in extended security updates? It's really a two-step process. First, you're going to want to create an extended security update license. So here I am. I think it's ESU testing to do. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to create an ESU license. So let's call this ESU forum license because we're in the Arc community forum today. So we'll call this ESU forum license 1. I have the choice now where either I can activate now or activate later. If I activate now, all the servers linked to it are going to start getting ESUs, and the minute it's end of support, so we reach October 10th, billing starts. If I activate later, this is effectively a deactivated license, which means I can still link servers to it, but it's not going to bill, and it's not going to enroll those linked servers into ESUs unless I activate. So I have the flexibility to activate now or deactivate in my provisioning. The thing to note is if you activate after end of support, you will get back billed. So you will get charged up to the October 10th point. So that's something to know. So I go ahead here. I've selected an activated ESU license in East US region. And let's say I want a data center edition license. Here I specify my licensing details. And so I either pick data center or standard or physical or virtual core-based licensing. If I pick a physical core-based license, I have to have at least 16 cores. That's the minimum, right? If I pick a virtual core-based license, however, so I go standard and virtual core, I require at least 8 vCores per virtual machine. So those are the two main minimums to remember. 16 cores are the minimum for a physical core license, and you need 8 vCores per VM in a virtual core license. So let's say I'm going to create a 24-core data center edition license. I go ahead and provision a 24-core data center, a 24-core data center edition license. So you're going to specify in core packs and 16 and 2 core packs. I attest to the fact that I have SA, or I'm covering under as subscription licenses or as workloads running under an authorized mobility provider. And then I go ahead and click create. And what this is going to do is this is going to provision an ESU license. So I'm going to see that ESU license come up here shortly. Now, let's say you want to create an ESU license that's a little bit different. Let's say I have a different use case. In this case, I want to provision an ESU license that's going to be virtual core based and deactivated. We'll have the flexibility to do that as well. So now let's say I'm going to do forum license 2, and this one I'm going to activate later. And instead of physical core, I'll specify by virtual core. I could do that too. So go ahead and do an 8 vCore virtual core based license, and I go ahead and click create. And voila, now I've created this forum license 2. And so I'm going to see this. I think the forum licenses are going to show up soon. I'm just going to have to find them. So I'm going to refresh. Okay, so I have 27 records now. So those are the 2 new licenses I just created. ESU license 1. This is the license I just created, physical core data center based. And then there's the forum license 2, which I will find right below it. And that's the one that has vCores, 8 vCores, and is currently deactivated. Sorry, activated. And so I have the flexibility to switch between the activation status, but I will get backbilled. But I also have the flexibility to modify the number of cores. So initially I had an 8-core license. Let's say things have changed. I now need 16 cores of coverage. I have the ability to actually edit that license as well and modify the number of cores associated with it. Alternatively, let's say, we're mid-year and I no longer need to cover 24 physical cores with this license. I have the flexibility to reduce the number of cores as well. So I can go down to 16 physical cores with this data center license. And what that's going to do is that's actually going to reduce my monthly cost. Now, what's important to note here is these license objects. These are what are tied to the actual charges for ESUs. So we've done a lot with kind of provisioning licenses. We've seen how you can edit licenses. You see the activation, deactivation, data center standard, virtual core, physical core, varieties of licenses. We walk through all of this in our docs. So we have license provisioning docs that go through all of the minimums I talked about, the cost savings for decrementing or deactivating a license mid-year, and a bunch of different scenarios. Additionally, you might be asking, Arnav, I don't want to provision these licenses one by one. Well, no, you can use our API commands as well in order to provision those licenses at scale. So we document all of that. Okay, so now we've gone through step 1. We've provisioned our license. Step 2 is linking a license to your Arc-enabled server. So here I see all of the servers that are ESU eligible. And so let's say I want to pick this data center core server and I want to enable ESUs on it. What I would do here is I would pick a license. So let's say I want to pick that data center physical core license that I just provisioned. So I search physical core, and here I see under the buck bash, ESU forum license 1. This is the license we just created. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to link that activated ESU license to my Arc enabled server. And what that's going to do is that's going to enroll that server in extended security updates. Now it's going to take a second for this to come up. I think this is an offline server as well. But if it's connected, once it's connected, it'll get enrolled in ESUs. What that means is you now have the flexibility to use whatever patching mechanism you use, whether that's first party through Azure Update Manager or something like SCCM, WSUS, and it's going to receive those critical security patches from November onward, as long as the server continues to be connected and linked to your ESU license, it's going to continue getting those ESU patches. Now, if it's offline for a temporary period after enablement, up to 30 days, it'll continue to get those patches, but beyond that, it won't. So it's important to maintain connectivity for your estate. If you know that you're in a completely air-gapped scenario, we recommend the volume licensing-based ESU here. The other things to note are you do need this to be agent version 1.34 or greater. So that's really important to note. And you also want to note that if you're running on AVS or Azure Stack HCI or Azure, those are environments where you get free extended security updates. So you won't enroll them in the Arc ESU. You get free ESUs there, and you don't want to be paying for ESUs. So we don't have that enrollment here as well. So that's the other sort of important thing to note. But that's really the main steps here. You take the license and you link that license to your Arc servers. And here we show a one-to-one license linking, but as you might be aware, a physical core data center license can be linked to many servers as long as you have the appropriate core coverage there as well. So you might link that one license to many servers and you'll enroll all of them in ESUs. And so here you're seeing how we do that point and click. There's a programmatic way to link or unlink the license as well. And additionally, we will be publishing in a few weeks an Azure policy to do this enrollment at scale. So that really underscores, I think, some of the main scenarios, but it's simple as provisioning the license and making it activated and linking it to your Arc server so it gets ESUs. And once it's enrolled in ESUs, you get free access, as I mentioned, to a range of Azure services. Some of those include Azure Update Manager, so you can literally patch directly from Azure if you want to, your ESU updates. And it even surfaces ESU availability for your machines there. You can also use capabilities like machine configuration for free as well. And so let's suppose, we want to go to a specific Arc-enabled server and we want to, check its guest assignments. We get all of those machine configuration capabilities also included for free for our Arc-enabled server. So we could go there and we could go to our machine configuration view. And here we could create configurations, for example, policies or DSC-based assignments as well. So there's a lot included in this offer, a lot of benefits. And again, like I mentioned, mid-year, you have the flexibility to drop off as needed from our ESU offer. So with that said, I'm going to pause the demo and let folks ask any questions. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so just one question. You spoke about if we have Stack SCI or AVS, we are getting this ESU for free. Could you just elaborate a bit?
Yeah, so on Azure environments, there is an enrollment process, and you can find this documented online. But you are eligible to get extended security updates for 3 years for free if you are running Windows Server 2012 R2 on Azure Stack HCI, or on Azure VMware Solution. So you should not enroll those in ESUs from volume licensing or Arc that it's paid, because you get free ESUs in those 3 environments.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Jeff, just a quick question. So I saw you doing a different combination of like either 16 core packs of one, and then like for your 24 example, is there a reason you couldn't have done just 12 2 cores? Or does it matter at all?
No, it doesn't matter at all. You can do
Okay.
16 or 2 cores, and the reason we kind of designed it around 16 2-core packs is typically we see like customers when they do true up, they come up with like 16 and 2-core packs most commonly. So we just wanted to give those options for.
And in the chat, Ryan said that the pricing is the same if you're doing virtual cores for data center versus standard. So I guess back to my other question, if I know they're going to have X number of standard 2 cores and X number of data center 2 cores, does it matter? Should I create 2 separate licenses there or not?
Yeah, so the data center ones should be separate from the standard ones. For virtual core, it's only standard licensing. So we do have a weird scenario in our portal where we show data center with virtual core, but virtual core licensing is only standard in general. So so I would put all of the vCore licensing together, but make sure that the vCore licensing has at least 8 virtual cores per virtual machine assigned to it. That's critical.
Okay, I was confused in the portal then, because we saw the physical, I guess the data center option for standard. So if we need to change that, just create a new license and reassign them.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, or I guess we could. I guess we'd have to change. We'd have to delete the license. You can't edit it for the at that point.
You can't edit. Yeah, you can't edit whether it's a data center standard or virtual core, physical core, but you can't edit the number of cores in a license. Yeah.
Will that cause any problems if we did say data center and assign virtual cores?
Yeah, I would switch that to standard and virtual core. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Kumar.
Yep, Arnav. So see, I have a question here regarding this vCore. As you said, right, your standard edition will be associated with vCore, and your data center will be associated with pCore. Okay. Now, when we talk about, like, let's suppose I'm having 90 servers, and out of 90 servers, 20 of them are your standard editions. Next 70 of them are your data center editions. Okay. Now, it's very well possible that all these 70 servers will have a different set of processor count. Okay. Now, how we are going to distribute this? I just want to understand the calculation. Like 20, I have 20 standard editions, 20 servers standard. That means each server should have 8 vCore licensing. That means I should go for 160. So total 160 should be there, right? 8 per server. That means 8. So 20 servers into 8, 160 there. But for your other 60 machines which I have for data center, right? How I'm going to distribute? I just want to understand this calculation.
Yeah, so you have 20 standard, and you're going to do,
yes.
And each of them are less than 8 cores, virtual cores.
Yes.
So you're going to do 8. You're going to do 28 virtual core licenses, and you're going to link it to each of those standard servers. And can you walk me through what your data center environment looks like?
So the 20 and the data center environment is like almost 60 servers, and each of them are having like 5 or 6 cores being assigned to each of these machines.
5 or 6 cores assigned to each of the machines. And are they all hosted on the same underlying physical server?
No,
or are they each your individual physical server?
Yes, they are separated.
In this scenario, it would actually be cheaper. And this is the benefit with Azure Arc, is you get the flexibility to mix and match, to actually use the virtualization-based licensing, right? Unless it's a hoster scenario, I would say you should use the 8 vCore based license also for each of your data center physical servers as well. In this case, I think that's going to give you cost savings.
Okay.
So I would just do the same licensing across the board. You can mix and match, so you can do the standard virtual core based licensing even on your physical data center servers.
That means you are recommending that the customer should go for your even for data center, he should go for vCore licensing, because that's basically going to minimize his cost, right? Yes.
In this specific scenario, there are cases where you have like unlimited virtualization or a VMware like DSR scenarios where sometimes the data center licensing comes down to cheaper because it gives that unlimited virtualization. But in your specific scenario, it would make sense to do the vCore licenses.
Okay. Is it possible, Arnab, like if you can go to your ESU portal, security updates, and if you can help me out with that understanding of that 8 core licensing for standard?
Yeah,
like for
so
20
Azure
machines.
Arc, or ESUs, you're going to create. And so each of those licenses are going to look like this. Arc ESU. And let's say we're going to call this test virtual core license. Let's activate now. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to pick standard, and then we're going to want to pick virtual core. And then if you want to do 8 cores associated with it, you just put 4 under 2 core packs, and so you have 8 cores associated. You would test, right?
So
And then,
this 2 core and 4, right? So
Yeah.
I'm basically having so 1 core is having 8 core pack, right? Is that my understanding correct? If you're saying here 2 cores.
yeah, one server is going to need 8 cores of coverage.
Yes.
So what I'm
yes.
doing is I'm purchasing a license that has 4 2-core packs. So that's going to cover up to 8 cores, and I'm going to link
So
that to my server.
only one server, right?
Yeah.
That in this case only one server. But if I'm
Correct.
having 20 servers, right? So in that case, this should be 20, right? So one server 80. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
So
60. Yes.
So our typical guidance is you can do either or, is to do 1-to-1. So typically with the vCore licenses, you do 1 license per server. That's typically the cleanest, because if you deactivate or decommission, a VM mid-year, you can easily delete that license. But alternatively, if you do this, you can decrease the number of cores associated with the license in the middle of the year, and that will reduce your cost as well. So
in this case,
that's
if
something to keep in mind.
so in this case, if I've associated all 20 machines with your with
Yeah.
this licensing, right? So in the middle of the year, if I want to migrate, like let's suppose 5 of the servers to Azure, in that case, I can just minimize this count. I can decrease this particular count, right? And that's ultimately going to decrease the cost, right? So in that case, like I have to dissociate the license from those servers. Is that my understanding correct?
Correct. Correct.
Yes.
And that's,
Okay.
sorry, Nitin, I know you have your hand up. You might have guidance here as well.
Yeah, so I think Ryan already commented on this. If it is a physical server, it has to be a P-Core license. It cannot be a vCore license. vCore license can only be used for a virtualized environment. So in this case, if the customer has physical servers of data center with say 8 core, but physical 8 core, they have to use the P-Core licensing as per the licensing agreement. They cannot use vCore there.
Oh, sorry, I think I misunderstood. There's no virtualization in this scenario.
Yeah, I think I heard Kumar is saying in the customer for the data center have physical servers. They are not like virtual server associated with
okay.
virtual cores. They are physical cores.
Okay, sorry. No, in that case, I'm really sorry. I misunderstood. In that case, you'd want to do outside of the virtual core one. For those ones, you're going to want to do probably 1-to-1 licensing. It sounds like, and each physical core license should have 16 cores and be data center. Minimum.
Okay, so if it's a physical server, I have to go for physical core, right?
Correct. Unless
Okay.
you're doing virtualization. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so if all my machines are virtualized on the VMware, I can very well go for either it's a data center standard, I can go for vCore licenses.
Yes, exactly. Yep,
Okay.
correct.
So another question which I have you here, sorry to take time here. So if I'm having data center edition, okay, of 60 machines, and each of my machine is having almost like 6 virtual processor. Okay, so 60 machines into 6, that's your 360. Okay, that means so if I go for virtual core, right? So I can go for virtual core here, right? For 360 for data center editions as well, right? 360 processors, correct?
So the vCore licensing is standard, and so if it is a virtualized scenario, you have 60 servers, so you'd have to do at least 8 per VM, so it'd be 480.
Yes. Yes.
So you need 240 2-core packs here in that
Okay.
case for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That answers my query. Thanks so much.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank
Nitin.
you. Yeah, thank you, Nitin. I'm sorry I misunderstood the physical, if it's a physical server or virtualized. Additional questions, folks? Yes.
Yeah, Rolf, can we have access to like a subscription where we can have like a demo environment for this ESUs as you showed? Like the Arc demo environment that you provided earlier, can we add to this environment kind of a demo also for the ESUs?
Sure, we can investigate that internally. Yes.
I'll also share a link in the chat to the Azure Arc Jumpstart scenario for ESUs, which is a great way to try it out. There are tags you can add to say that you're doing this to like test it, so you won't be charged for those situations.
Great. And let me show that jumpstart as well. Yeah, I highly recommend you guys use the jumpstart scenario to test this out. That's a great call out, Ryan. So here under Azure Arc, I believe it's under the unified operations cases.
Yeah, it was the top
here.
one.
Yes. Oops. All right. We have an ESU one right here. And I think this is actually much better. So the issue with giving this in a demo environment is, as you know, you can, once it's enrolled, right? So it's quite a bit of management to enroll and unenroll. So I would advise that you use the jumpstart in your own environment. Right. Okay, additional questions, Bilal?
Sure enough. Yeah. Hi everyone. Just based off an email that I sent, and thank you so much, Arnav and Ryan, to helping with a response on that. So I just wanted to kind of follow up on that, just to make sure that I've got my understanding correct on it. Based on that 10th October date that's coming up, everyone, I think, across the field and customers and partners, everyone is kind of treating it as a date when some bomb is going to drop, whereas that is not the case. It's basically that's when the last patch is going to come out as part of extended support. Post that, the next patch from ESU, my understanding is that would come out on the second Tuesday of November, which is November 14th, by which ideally customers should have enabled ESUs, whether through the traditional model or through Arc, preferably through Arc. Between November 10th and October 10th and November 14th, do we expect any patches to come in between that if the customer hasn't enabled ESU, that they might not be able to do then?
So I'm not able, I don't think we're able to confirm that. That depends on if there are any critical security issues that come up in that interim period. I know the
Right.
regularly scheduled patch is for November, the November patch Tuesday, but there may or may not be patches in the interim depending on anything that's found. So ideally, customers should try to enroll in ESUs after this October 10th deadline, but the first official patch Tuesday is that November 1, when they're going to need ESUs.
November 14th, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. All right. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Any other additional questions? I see in the chat, so is it cheaper to go for Arc ESU? And this is a complex answer. The list prices are the same, but for most of our customers, because of the monthly flexibility, it comes to be cheaper when you do the calculation that way. But the list prices for Arc and VL are the same. And additionally, you get those Azure services that are typically charged included for free with the Arc offer. Right? Any other questions? All right. If there's no other questions, I'm happy to give folks some time back. And yeah, Azure Update Manager is included for free with Windows Server 2012 ESUs enabled by Azure Arc. Great. Thanks so much for joining, everyone, and looking forward to the next session. We have a lot of exciting content. Appreciate everyone joining in today. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye now.